Are you ready to explore the fascinating world of sinking cities? These coastal cities are facing a dire threat as global temperatures and sea levels continue to rise. From districts ravaged by floods to disappearing coastlines, these cities are in a great struggle. Today, we'll explore 10 sinking cities that could be underwater sooner than we think. Let's get started. Lagos, Nigeria, is the most populous city in Africa, with a population exceeding 24 million. It is highly vulnerable to rising sea levels due to climate change. As rainfall intensifies, the city's dysfunctional waste disposal system leads to streets being flooded with garbage. Severe downpours make movement difficult on the streets, causing trash piles and open drains. Predictions indicate that if global warming exceeds 2 degrees Celsius, sea levels could rise by up to 90 centimeters by the year 2100. Lagos must undergo a complete architectural overhaul and reconstruction to withstand the impacts of rising sea levels. Revamping the city's infrastructure and waste management systems is crucial to mitigate the risks posed by sea level rise and ensure the safety and well-being of its residents. Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam. Stretching along the Mekong Delta, Ho Chi Minh City faces a serious threat from floods and tropical storms. The fertile lands that were once a boon for Vietnam's agriculturally driven region are now turning into a curse. Scientists predict that the eastern regions near the Mekong River will become uninhabitable due to frequent floods and storms. Low-lying and densely populated marshland areas are particularly vulnerable, with a high risk of being completely submerged by 2030. New Orleans, USA. A vital transportation hub, New Orleans faces a serious threat from deadly storms. The city relies heavily on the maritime industry. However, rising water levels pose a risk of engulfing most of the port facilities in the lowest part of the river. The frequency of hurricanes has increased, with the tropical storm season starting earlier and causing more flooding. It is estimated that more than half of New Orleans, already below sea level, will sink even lower by a quarter by the year 2050. A study by NASA and the California Institute of Technology revealed that New Orleans loses approximately 5 centimeters of land every year. Miami, USA. The phrase "retreat while there's still time" is becoming increasingly meaningful, especially for the popular coastal resort of Miami. The world's most appealing beach destination sits just 1 meter above sea level and faces the risk of being underwater by the end of this century. To combat this impending disaster, the government is already spending millions on rescue plans for Miami. Known as sunny day floods, inundations are occurring 4 times more frequently than 15 years ago, causing significant damage on land during the autumn and spring seasons. By 2030, sea levels could rise by 15 centimeters, and by 2060, up to 60 centimeters, displacing approximately 1/3 of Miami's coastal population. Bangkok, Thailand. A popular and budget-friendly tourism hub, Bangkok is rapidly sinking and faces serious consequences of global warming. The city is sinking at a rate of approximately 2 to 3 centimeters per year, faster than many other cities similarly affected by global warming. A study conducted in 2020 revealed that Bangkok ranks among the forefront of cities vulnerable to the detrimental effects of global warming. While other cities may likely encounter a similar fate, Bangkok's situation seems irreversible. Built on soft clay soil, the city is progressing towards a significant collapse. The likelihood of flooding in Bangkok is high by the year 2030. Coastal areas like Takum and Samut Prakan, as well as the main airport, Suvarnabhumi International Airport, could be submerged. Intense rainfall, rising water levels, and excessive groundwater usage will further accelerate the city's dire fate. Amsterdam, Netherlands. The capital of the Netherlands, Amsterdam, faces an increasing threat of flooding due to its low-lying geography. With a significant portion of the country lying below sea level and urban areas built around water bodies, the city has implemented advanced flood control systems over the past 50 years. However, the climate crisis poses a significant challenge to Amsterdam. If greenhouse gas emissions are not controlled, it is predicted that rising sea levels will surpass the city's current infrastructure capacity. If the Antarctic ice sheet melts faster, it is estimated that sea levels could rise by 1.2 to 2 meters within the next 79 years. In such a scenario, Amsterdam's existing systems would be strained, and approximately 97% of its population, more than 700,000 people, could be displaced by the end of the century. Urgent action to reduce emissions and adapt infrastructure is crucial to protect the city from the growing threat of flooding. Alexandria, Egypt. A city rich in history, Alexandria is grappling with the consequences of climate change. The situation of the city, sinking 3 millimeters every year, is worsening due to upstream dam constructions and offshore gas drilling. Additionally, rising sea levels due to global warming and melting glaciers pose a threat. Frequent floods have forced hundreds of people to evacuate weakened buildings in 2015 and 2020. The sea has even encroached 3 kilometers into the famous Rosetta Lighthouse in the Nile Delta. The Egyptian Coastal Protection Authority emphasizes that climate change is a harsh reality. The Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change warns of radical climate changes in the Mediterranean region and faster warming of these waters compared to other oceans. In the best-case scenario, if the Mediterranean rises by 50 centimeters, severe flooding would displace over 1.5 million people in Alexandria. Job losses and significant economic damages would occur. Efforts to reduce risk continue, such as planting reeds as a natural barrier along the coastline and implementing wave warning systems. Venice, Italy. Sinking at a rate of 2 millimeters per year, Venice is facing increased flooding due to climate change. In 2003, Italy began construction of a flood barrier called Mose, consisting of 78 gates along 3 channels, but the project faced delays and was postponed from its initial target of 2011 to 2022. In 2018, Venice experienced its worst flooding in the last decade after a series of storms hit the city. Iconic landmarks like St. Mark's Square and St. Mark's Basilica were severely affected. Businesses suffered losses and there were casualties. Unusual weather conditions and high tides, known as acqua alta, are becoming more frequent due to climate change. During periods of flooding, wooden walkways known as acqua alta walkways are set up in Venice to allow people to navigate the city without getting submerged in water. Jakarta, Indonesia. The city of Jakarta, Indonesia is sinking rapidly and is recognized as the fastest sinking city in the world. Excessive groundwater pumping causes the land to sink by 17 centimeters per year. If this continues, a significant portion of the city could be underwater by 2050. North Jakarta is particularly vulnerable, with an estimated 95% of it expected to be submerged by the end of 2050. It has sunk by 2.5 meters in just the last decade and continues to sink by nearly 25 centimeters annually. This rate is double the global average for coastal megacities. Jakarta's sinking is attributed to 2 main factors: excessive reliance on groundwater due to the lack of piped water and climate change leading to rising sea levels, and increased flooding during extreme weather events. Addressing this critical situation, the Indonesian government has approved a plan to relocate the capital to a location 160 kilometers away on the island of Java. This ambitious relocation project is estimated to take around 10 years and cost $33 billion to protect the future of the city's 10 million residents from future flooding. Istanbul. National Geographic has mapped out the regions that will be submerged when all the glaciers melt. Istanbul, along with many coastal cities in Turkey, could disappear into history. Due to global warming, when all the glaciers melt, the sea level will rise by approximately 65 meters. In this scenario, many peninsulas will turn into islands. While scientists predict that it will take 5,000 years for all the glaciers to melt, during this process, the average temperature is also expected to rise from 14.4 degrees to 26.6 degrees. Especially Northern Europe is expected to be affected by the disaster, causing Turkey's coastal areas to be submerged. The waters engulfing Izmir in the Aegean region will bury the Greek islands in the sea. In the Mediterranean region, the Cukurova Delta in Adana will be completely submerged. What are your thoughts on these 10 cities that could soon be underwater? Comment below and subscribe to our channel for more content like this.